Welcome back to my channel. I'm Erica, and I have been trying to think about a way that I could potentially put a couple more videos up. I really do miss doing it. With my work schedule and with my family, I don't have time right now to put out as many edited progression videos of big projects. I really haven't had time to work on as many big projects. Do have one I am currently in the middle of that I'm about to start trying to put together. But in the meantime, I thought I would try a couple more vlog style. These are a little bit quicker, a little bit easier to get out, and I really do enjoy doing them. And I thought I'd give it a try. So today is my day off. I have the boys situated with a couple of things. I'll probably get interrupted in a few minutes. I never go a few minutes without that. I'm going to try to get as much done as I can. I have my coffee in one of my favorite mugs. It says that I love it. And as I mentioned in a previous video, I do want to try to start making more of my clothes. I've made a few shirts over the last year, but I want to branch out and do a little bit more. So today I'm working on a pair of flowy linen pants. I've been wanting a few more pant options that are not just jeans. I have a pattern. It's a butterick pattern. I'm going to be changing it. It's a dress pant top situation, but I want more of a elastic or shirred waistband. I'm not 100% sure. That's thick and it has a little tie bow. Also, I want it to be a little bit more high-waisted. And so I have the basic pieces here. I have some black linen left over from the project I did with my husband's Wesley shirt for Halloween last year. And so that is what we're gonna do. It's washed, it's ironed. Well, let's hop to it. Okay, I don't know how well this is going to show up, but it's black, so I'm working with black. The pattern does have front pockets, and I do want to keep those, and so that's why it's cut here. I am like two different sizes between the top and the bottom, so I'm like one size here in the hips and then a little bit bigger here in the top around the waist for pregnancies. I'm not quite what I used to be. Body has changed. So I'll be meshing a couple of sizes together. So that's where we're going to start. I am going to lay all this out and see you back then. Here we are. So I've got pockets, waistband, front of the pants, back of the pants. I have already marked the darts in the back of the pants. And yeah, so I'm going to go through my machine, start with that, and go ahead and get the base of the pants assembled before I tackle the waistband.
So starting with the crotch seam, I did do most of the seams of these pants as French seams. So the best way that I can describe a French seam is you put the wrong sides of the fabric together on the seam, sew it at a 1/4 inch seam, and then trim it down to an 1/8 inch seam about iron out that seam and then flip it so that then the right sides are together as you would normally sew a seam together. Iron that down and then sew it at another 1/4 inch, which encases all the raw edges in the seam. I really like that type of seam for linen and things that fray easily, because it just makes such a clean finish inside and you don't have to worry about the fraying. For the pockets, it's sewing those right sides together as I'm showing, and then flipping it and top stitching it down, because that's just where the pocket goes in the front, where you'll see it with your hand. And then the pocket lining, which is what fills out the rest of the waistband and the rest of the pocket. I also ended up doing these as French seams. I don't show it here, but I did those that way. Once the pockets were complete and the 2 crotch seams were done, the next thing was to sew together the 2 side seams, which were very long.
Okay, so as happens sometimes, my camera battery died when I was mid-seam, and then the bobbin ran out at the same time, and then when I was filling the bobbin, the spool ran out. So I had to obviously rethread the machine and redo the bobbin, and I went ahead and finished the seam, and now we're back with a good battery. So what we have left is what I'm going to do at the waistband and hemming the pants. Now, I did try them on and I succeeded in high-waisted. It's too high and I don't like currently how the pockets are laying, so I'm going to have to play with that a little bit. I'm going to have to cut off probably about the width of the actual waistband, because that's how high this goes. I don't want it any higher. So the waistband is 4.5 inches wide, so I'm going to have to trim this down about 4 inches. That way I'm leaving the 1/2 inch seam allowance for the waistband. And currently, as it stands, before I tried them on before I did the crotch seam and all the way down the inside of the leg, and they fit really, really well, except that because they're meant to be a dress pant, I didn't add quite enough on and I can't pull them up. I had to put it on over my head, which obviously with this seam closed up, I can't do that. So when I cut off the 4 inches, that will put it at a wider spot. This is supposed to be an elastic waistband with the shirring, so we will have to see whether or not that takes it down enough closer to the width of where the hips are with the waistband to see if that will work, or if I'm going to have to add some sort of, go back in and add a side zipper. I'm willing to do that. I'd rather not. So we'll see. So the next thing to do is trim this down and see what I can do as far as getting it on and how the pockets will lay, and then we'll tackle the waistband. Okay, back one more time for right now. I tried it on after I cut off the top, and here's the deal. It can't quite do it. So, and I really didn't want the bottom part to be really gathered. I'm not going for diaper butt, to be honest. So I wanted the bottom to be fitted. So I think I figured out what I'm gonna do if I tack down the right hand pocket so that it is normal, but utilize the left hand pocket to when I put the waistband on, I have one end hemmed up over here. It wraps around the pants and then ends here, leaving this little part open. That will be hemmed down because obviously when I sew the waistband on, this will come down and I'll hem that. I will have an overlap of this much, you know, probably about 4 inches, where the waistband will overlap, and I can put a hook and bar there, and that will be how I close it, and then that gives me the extra leeway to get them up over my hips. So that's what I'm gonna do. I really like that idea. I think that's gonna work great, and then I don't have to worry about a zipper, which is not what I wanted to do. So I'm gonna put this aside for now. I've got the 2 very long waistband pieces, and I went ahead and French seamed them together. So the next thing is I'm gonna do a rolled hem on the top, and then I will mark it in a lot of lines for the shirring. Okay, so you're not gonna see my face for this clip, but that's okay. I hemmed both edges, did the rolled hem down the top edge, like I said. I did have a little bit of trouble going over where these 2 are seamed together, just because that's a French seam, so it was pretty thick, but it looks fine on the outside, and it's gonna be shirred up around it anyway, so I don't believe it's gonna be noticeable. So the next thing is to prep for the shirring. I have my spool of elastic, and I'm gonna go ahead and wind up 3 bobbins because I don't know exactly how many I'm gonna need, and I don't wanna have to stop and wind them in the middle of it. So I'm gonna do that. One thing that's important to remember about winding up bobbins for shirring is you cannot stretch it. So it's got to be, I can't use a bobbin winder to wind it. I'm going to have to wind it by hand. So this is going to take me a few minutes.
Spoiler, I didn't end up actually making those line markings. I used a seam guide on the other side of the machine and did my spacing for the shirred seams that way. And then after they were shirred, the way I finished it up is took that needle, pulled the threads through to the back of the fabric, knotted them together with the elastic, because you do not backstitch at the start or the end of the seams on a shirred seam. Knotted them together and then rolled over that edge hem again, encasing all the elastic and thread in that, and then stitched it down. And that worked really well for holding the elastic steady.
What I have now, I have this black seam binding from a thrift store for 50 cents. From my pile of ever-growing from a thrift store. These type of things, I grab them anytime I'm at thrift stores and I see them. So it's just a simple lace one. There's plenty on here for 2 pants, legs.
And what I did with that binding was I pinking sheared the bottom of the pants and then sewed that down right side of the pants and then flipped it over to the wrong side of the pants and stitched it down again at about a 1/2 inch for the hem. After this, I jumped over and cut these 4 even strips for the waist tie, and I will jump back on in a second and explain what I did with them.
I ironed them in half and then ironed one side, turned it in half again on one side, and then turned it in half again. So it's basically creating a bias tape and then sewing it straight, except for it's not cut on the bias, it's a straight. So the ends are still not finished. I'm gonna probably do at least for tacking it to the actual garment, I'm gonna turn it like that and then it'll be sewn down. I'm gonna work on that and I finished the hem up and then I will show it off. I am showing the pants and I'm gonna talk about them for a second. I'm gonna say really quick, I don't like how the pockets are laying. So I'm not sure if I make any more out of this pattern then I will use the pockets. I don't know, I really like having pockets, but I think I'd rather have them the type where it's just a slit in the seam and it doesn't come in like this. I'm a little torn about how high it is. Like, this is where it would fall for a high waist, but I believe I have a shorter waist, so I don't know if it's really helping. But I mean, I have high-waisted jeans but that I really like. I feel like they come maybe a tad lower, but I don't know, I still like them. I think the pants are adorable other than the way the pockets are lining. I love the ties right here. I love the shirring waistband. It's extremely comfortable. See, there's the ties. It's so hard to do this with black on black, but I really like the way it fits. I think that's so cute. So yes, it's done. I did in fact get this done in one day. I'm really excited about that. I'm really pleased. I'm really happy that I did it. This is going to be a really super comfortable pair of pants to wear around the house, to sew in, to work in while I'm working from home, but not pajama pants. So yeah, I'm really happy about it. And I'm gonna make some more. Maybe different, but more. Thanks for joining me for this. This was a lot of fun. I haven't done a one-day make in a while, and it was just really nice. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you like, subscribe, and comment. If anybody has any suggestions on ways to help with the pocket pucker, that would be appreciated, because I really would like them. I like the way that this type of pocket looks, just not when it puckers like that. So anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope to see you again soon.